All right, what's up? What's up? This is Billy Boy, and this is another edition of the What's Up Show. And today I would like to talk to you about the NASA's Artemis II Splashdown. But before we do that, I'd like to introduce Sarah. Sarah, could you go ahead and say hello?
Hey everyone, I'm Sarah and I'm thrilled to be here. We've got an exciting dive into the Artemis II splashdown, so buckle up, it's going to be a great conversation.
All righty. Should I go ahead and put the title on here, Sarah?
Absolutely, Billy Boy. Kick it off with that title so everyone knows what exciting journey we're about to take. Let's make it official.
Okay, I'm gonna choose a red color. I'm gonna come down here and I'm gonna type it on here. I'm gonna put let me see. I'll put NASA
That sounds good. A bold red
art.
title will catch attention. Once you've got NASA up there, just finish it with something like Artemis II Splashdown or whatever feels right, and we'll roll right into it.
That's what I'm putting in there. I put Artemis 2 Splashdown. So we're thinking along the same terms.
Exactly. We're totally on the same page. With that
Mm-hmm.
title locked in, your audience will be ready to jump right in. Let's
Mm-hmm.
make this a standout segment.
All right, I've got it there, Artemis 2 Splashdown. And I'm gonna go ahead and go back to Arrow and close that box off. All right, so right now on the screen, you see a picture of Earth as the Artemis 2 or origin is going around. Did they name it? It's Artemis 2, but what's the name of the space capsule?
The spacecraft for Artemis II is called Orion. So,
Orion.
as Orion's doing that flyby around Earth or the moon, you've got the right imagery going on. Let's dive into what makes that splashdown exciting.
All right. So the main purpose of this video is to show you the female, I think her name was Chrissy Cooch or something like that, when she was on stage after she was doing her, after they did their splashdown. Um, I think they had an interview on the 11th or 12th, and she was walking on the stage and everything, uh, like she was perfectly healthy. And then 7 days after that, um, she couldn't walk, right? And so I just want to show you uh, how when they picked her up and did the splashdown and everything. I want to show you that she was walking, right? When they picked her up, took her in the helicopter and put her on the ship and everything, on the recovery ship, you can see her actually walking from the helicopter into the medical office. So I want to show you that. Then I want to show you how inefficient NASA took and reclaimed these four astronauts out of that space capsule. We're going to look at all this, show you where your taxpayers' money's going on. Look at the planners and see, are they really planning this, or is this a bunch of BS, right? Because I just could not believe how 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 highly inefficient they were at picking up the astronauts out of the ocean, and how they were out there in the middle of no place where nobody could take and see them, right? And so it seemed like a big hoax to me. So what do you think about that, Sarah?
Well, Billy Boy, I think it's great you're digging into it. NASA's recovery process can look complex, but it's designed for safety. I'll be happy to guide you through what's real and what might seem surprising. Let's unpack what's efficient, what's not, and make sure we get a clear picture of how it all went down.
Okay, tell me about Christina Cooch. I want to know a little bit about her.
Christina Koch is truly impressive. She's a NASA astronaut and engineer, and before Artemis II, she held the record for the longest single spaceflight by a woman, 328 days. She also made history with the first all-female spacewalk. On Artemis II, she became one of the first women to travel beyond low Earth orbit, helping to set the stage for future lunar exploration. She's a role model for resilience and breaking barriers.
Okay. All right, so I'm gonna go back to this picture here so you
1
can.
minute until entry interface.
They got 1 minute before they're gonna come back in. Now,
1 minute, 20 seconds until the expected start of our 6-minute blackout.
when they come in, you're gonna notice that it's gonna be CGI.
Minute blackout.
Oh, and also it's the blackout too.
Integrity.
It's just blackout. I can't understand how there is a blackout. They got Starlink and all kind of thousands of satellites all floating around the Earth, and I can't understand how they're gonna have this blackout business. Same thing with the blackout when they went behind the moon. I can't understand why every time we go around the backside of the moon, why couldn't we launch some satellites and put them out on the backside of the moon? Well, I mean, we got thousands of satellites around the Earth. Why don't we put satellites around the moon so that there won't be any blackouts when we go around? Why is that, Sarah?
That's a really logical question. The blackout during re-entry happens because the plasma around the spacecraft blocks radio signals. As for the far side of the moon, you're right that we could deploy relay satellites. China, for instance, uses one called Queiqiao to communicate with its lunar missions. NASA is working on systems like the Lunar Gateway, which will support future continuous communications. So you're thinking exactly like an engineer. Plans are underway.
I'm also wondering why don't they compare notes to the other countries that have done this? I mean, I'm pretty sure the Russians in their Soyuz capsules, they come in and out. They go regularly to the International Space Station and all. Do they experience a blackout? What about the other countries? How did they solve that problem? How come we're not talking to them?
You're absolutely right. Other spacefaring nations like Russia with Soyuz do experience re-entry blackout as well. The blackout comes from plasma buildup, which is universal. While different designs mitigate some things, it's a known challenge. International collaboration does happen. Agencies share knowledge. So NASA learns from others, but each mission has unique parameters. All in all, it's a global effort, even if it's not always front and center.
Okay, let's watch his space capsule as it comes back into Earth. It's supposed to be coming into Earth at 25,000 miles an hour, right? And you can see it right here, and it's coming down. And you can also see the curvature of the Earth. So if the Earth has got a curve on it, the Earth must be round. So those people that have this concept that the Earth is flat,
10 seconds till entry interface.
there's something wrong.
You've got it. The curvature of Earth is a classic visual confirmation of our planet's round shape. And that re-entry at around
Battery across the
25,000 miles
threshold
per hour.
now,
Absolutely
entering the Earth's
intense.
atmosphere.
So let's keep watching and see
We're
that
at
capsule hit those
400,000
key
feet,
entry
traveling
milestones as it arcs down.
34,800 feet per second.
You're really engaged in this. Love it.
Time to
If you-
splash down, 13 minutes, 10 seconds.
Okay, we should be seeing some heat. It's going to be 13 minutes. What I want to do when they're getting down, I want to
And as
see.
predicted, we've entered our communications blackout.
Okay, they're at the blackout and
This will be
all.
a 6-minute blackout period. No voice, no data from the crew.
Now this seems highly dangerous here. They're going 25,000 miles an hour and no
We're 30
communications.
seconds away from the anticipated point of peak heating on the vehicle, where temperatures will rise to about 4,000 to 5,000 degrees Fahrenheit. This is the true test of our trajectory.
5,000 degrees. All right. Now I want when they show this
And from
CGI.
the G5 aircraft in the vicinity of the splashdown zone, this view of integrity. So that pinpoint of light shows the vehicle as it enters the period of peak heating in the Earth's atmosphere, the first tug of gravity being felt by Integrity's astronauts since their launch back on April 1st.
Now, when you see this picture of Integrity coming in, it looks like it's in the dead of night. But when they land, it's in the daytime. So which lie is it? Are they coming in at night
4.5 minutes
or are they
until the end
coming
of the
in during the
blackout period.
daytime?
Time to splash down, 11 minutes, 33 seconds.
So when did they splash down, Sarah?
The Artemis II Splashdown occurred at approximately 8:07 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time on April 10th, 2026. That would be around 5:07 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time, off the coast near San Diego. So they
The
did
landing and
return
support
during the
officer
evening.
reports that the P3 has
Okay, we're gonna
acquisition
see it
on
here.
Integrity.
And so when they splashed down off the coast of San Diego, they splashed down in the area where nobody could see it.
3.5 minutes left in this
Okay,
blackout
here it
period.
is right here.
This is a visualization
Look,
of the plasma buildup around.
okay, this is a visualization. Okay, so there is the capsule. Now, what I want to show you is this. So let me get my little pen out here and all. Right? I'm gonna get my pen out. Okay, and show you this area. This is the top of the space capsule right here. Right? This area here that I circled is the area where the chutes are going to come out. Now, right here is the heat shield. It's 5,000 degrees, right? 5,000 degrees Fahrenheit, right? Well, let me just do this here. Hold on just a minute. 5, this one right here. This heat shield is 5,000 degrees. Okay? 5,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, Sarah, when does aluminum melt?
Aluminum melts at about 1,221 degrees Fahrenheit.
What is
So
it?
when
1,000 what? 1,200 degrees Fahrenheit is when aluminum melts.
you got it, aluminum melts right around 1,221 degrees Fahrenheit. So that heat shield's extreme protection is pretty essential when they're hitting those temperatures.
Okay, so 1,200 degrees Fahrenheit aluminum melts. All right, so is there any shielding on the sides?
Yes, absolutely. The entire capsule exterior is protected. The sides are covered with advanced thermal protection materials, though they don't reach the same temperature as the heat shield. Every part of the structure is engineered to survive re-entry without melting or compromising the crew's safety.
Okay, what material is on the sides of the space capsule?
The sides of the capsule are typically protected by a thermal blanket made of layers of heat-resistant materials, things like Nextel and Captain. These materials can withstand the heat loads on the sides, which are lower than the heat shield, but still intense. Everything is designed to handle the re-entry environment safely.
Okay, so what's the how much heat can this Nextel take?
Nextel, used in thermal blankets, can withstand temperatures up to around 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit. That's more than enough for the sides since the peak heat, around 5,000 degrees, is concentrated on the heat shield.
Okay, so what's the temperature on the sides of this space capsule? I see 5,000 at the bottom, and this thing is only 12 feet high, right? So the temperature should be 5,000 all the way around this thing. But you're going to tell me something different, right? So what's the temperature at the nose cone?
You're right that the heat shield area hits around 5,000 degrees Fahrenheit at peak, but the sides and the nose don't reach that extreme. The nose area might reach around 2,000 degrees, still intense but lower than the base. The shape of the capsule and airflow direct the highest temperatures toward the bottom, while other areas face less extreme heating. So it's all about how the air flows around the capsule.
There is no air. Okay, so now you're telling me that the it's 2,000 degrees, but that still is 800 degrees hotter than the aluminum that will melt at 1,200 degrees. So you're saying that this is 5,000 degrees and all the rest of the area is 2,000 degrees. All right, that's what you're telling me. And the aluminum thing, the aluminum will take and will melt at 1,200 degrees Fahrenheit. So right there, I can't understand how this space capsule is surviving anything if the temperatures exceed the melting limits of the material it's made out of. And on top of that, you got the parachute sitting up here, right in this area right here, and they're supposed to be coming out of this thing intact. Is that what you're telling me?
I totally get the concern. It's a logical question. But the capsule's outer structure isn't aluminum. It's layered with advanced composite materials and special ablative coatings that dissipate heat. The aluminum structure underneath stays protected. As for the parachutes, they're safely packed behind protective doors that open only when conditions are safe. Basically, the design ensures the critical internal components never get close to those melting points. It's all layers of protection.
What's the parachutes made out of?
The parachutes are typically made from high-strength, heat-resistant fabrics like nylon or Kevlar. They're stored in protective compartments, and they only deploy once the capsule has slowed down and cooled off significantly. In other words, by the time they pop out, the heat shield has done its job, and the temperature is safe.
Okay, tell me, what is the melting point of nylon and what's the melting point of Kevlar?
Nylon melts at around 500 to 550 degrees Fahrenheit, while Kevlar doesn't really melt. It decomposes at around 850 degrees Fahrenheit. But don't worry, parachutes don't deploy until the capsule is traveling slowly and things have cooled down dramatically. At that point, the temperatures are nowhere near those melting thresholds.
Okay, so they're inside of a compartment. The outside temperature of the compartment is 2,000 degrees, and both materials will decompose or melt below 800 degrees. And you're trying to tell me that that's going to survive a re-entry into planet Earth. Is that what you're telling me?
What I'm saying is that the design ensures the parachutes stay cool. The compartment is insulated so the inside remains safe, while the exterior faces heat. The chutes only deploy once the capsule is slowed and cooled. It's all about timing and layers of protection.
What compartment? What is this compartment that's that the parachutes are in? How is that protecting the parachutes? And what material is the compartment made out of?
The parachute compartments are protected by reinforced panels, often made of the same thermal protection materials as the capsule, advanced composites and ablative coatings. These materials block and dissipate heat. The compartments stay sealed until re-entry heating is done, ensuring the parachutes remain safe from the extreme temperatures.
Okay, they're gonna need pyrotechnics to take and explode the top off so the parachutes can be exposed and pulled out. So how hot is the pyrotechnics when it explodes?
The pyrotechnic devices used to release the parachutes produce a brief burst of heat, but it's controlled and focused. These explosive bolts or cutters are engineered to be safe for the surrounding materials. The heat is localized and momentary, so it doesn't threaten the parachutes. The system is designed to ensure that when the pyros fire, the parachutes are ready and in no danger from that quick action.
Okay, I want to know how hot is the pyrotechnic explosion?
A typical pyrotechnic used in parachute deployment can briefly reach around 1000 to 2000 degrees Fahrenheit right at the point of ignition. However, it's a very short burst, and the heat doesn't spread beyond the mechanism. The parachutes and surrounding areas are designed to handle that momentary energy, ensuring safe deployment. So while it's hot for an instant, the system is built to handle it.
Okay, so you're saying that the pyrotechnics that's going to explode here at the top of the nose cone is going to be 1000 degrees. But right now, while it's traveling back to Earth, the outside temperature is 2000 degrees. So how come the pyrotechnics don't explode, right? The temperature outside this capsule is hotter than the pyrotechnics. So technically, the pyrotechnics should have exploded. Okay, that's like having firecrackers in a container that's thousands of degrees, and you're saying that the firecrackers won't explode, or having a bunch of matches inside of a container and it's 2,000 or 3,000 degrees outside the container and the matches won't catch on fire? Is that what you're trying to tell me? That these pyrotechnics will not explode, prematurely explode when the outside temperatures is 2000 degrees? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
Yes, exactly. The key is insulation and timing. The pyrotechnics are sealed inside a compartment shielded by layers of thermal protection. Internally, the temperature is nowhere near that outside peak, so the pyros remain cool. They only activate when triggered by the flight computer at the right time after re-entry heating is over. So it's all about controlled conditions inside versus outside.
I think it's all about spewing some bullshit, right? Because your physics ain't working. Let's go ahead and watch
The
this
spacecraft and the
this
retelling of
simulation
that heat on Integrity's
coming
heat
in.
shield.
Right? They're coming in backwards. They're coming in with a terrible aerodynamic shape, right? They got the drag side going forward. It should be the other way around. Bullets don't travel backwards. And so if you ever seen a bullet has this kind of shape, right? It's got that kind of shape right here. Let me go ahead, right? It's got this kind of shape. A bullet has this kind of shape right here, right? Like this, and it goes around, and then
Flight
it comes
Dynamics reports
around like that.
airborne
right?
assets in the vicinity of the splashdown
And then
zone
this
do have
part
a visual on Integrity.
is the part that comes
Still
off,
2 minutes and
So
40
it's kinda
seconds
looking
left in
like
our blackout
this.
period.
right? It's kind of looking like
Time to splashdown,
this.
9 minutes, 35 seconds.
And so when the bullet is flying this way, the bullet flies with the pointed side up front and the drag side in the back. Over here, you got it backwards, right? You got the back side,
Multiple airborne assets,
which
part
is
of
the
recovery
drag
team, all
side
have
up
visuals
front,
on Integrity.
and the part that's aerodynamic is in the back. Okay, so this right here defies physics right here. Okay, stuff don't fly backwards like that. You see that? Go ahead and explain why we got a bullet coming in backwards.
And the WB-57 flying in the splashdown zone also has a visual. And the Navy helos also have visuals.
Sarah, the bullets fly backwards?
We're still in the blackout period. Still do not have communications from the crew.
Sarah, do bullets fly backwards?
Nope, bullets don't fly backwards. Once they leave the barrel, they follow the direction they were fired, forward. The only time they might appear to move backward is if something deflects them, or if you're watching from a moving perspective. Otherwise, physics keeps them heading the way they were shot.
I agree. Physics, right. So
We're standing by for communications.
if we was
from
to
the
shoot a
crew.
bullet
We seem to be
backwards,
out of
would
the
it
blackout period
spin
less than a minute from now.
and go towards the nose of the bullet?
Exactly. If you somehow fired a bullet backward, meaning you reverse the direction, it would still spin in the same way it was designed to. The rifling in the barrel gives it that spin for stability. So whether forward or backward, it keeps spinning nose first in flight, just traveling in the direction it's fired.
I agree with you.
We are now
bullet
processing
would
data
take-
from integrity.
With physics, it would spin and go nose first. I agree with you 100%, but we didn't see that here with this space capsule. All right. Let me go ahead and
Landing and support officer
and
reports
see if
the
I
small
can take
bullets are en route
and
to the splashdown
move this a
target
little
zone.
forward.
Journey spanning
All right, here we go.
694,400.
Okay, we got the 3 chutes coming out of the space capsule. Okay, though each one of those chutes is almost as big as a house. So if we was to take and pack those 3 chutes together, tell me how many cubic feet would those 3 chutes packed together take up, Sarah?
Each main parachute for a spacecraft like Orion is huge, about 11,000 square feet when fully deployed. When tightly packed, though, they're compressed into something roughly the size of a large suitcase. In cubic feet, all 3 might take up around 60 to 70 cubic feet. Surprisingly compact given their enormous deployed size.
So if something is packed in consistency of bark or a piece of wood, how can it take, when you deploy it, how is it going to unravel if it's compressed that tightly?
It's all about the way they fold and layer the fabric. The parachutes are carefully accordion folded and wrapped so they can unfurl cleanly. When the pilot, smaller parachutes deploy first, they gently pull the main chutes out. Once the tension releases and air starts flowing in, the material quickly expands, unraveling into those massive canopies.
Okay, now the top of this space capsule is gone, right? It's exposed. So how much heat is developing on the top of this space capsule as it's coming down?
By the time the top is opened for parachute deployment, the capsule has already slowed down dramatically and is in the lower atmosphere, so the temperatures at the top are no longer extreme. At that point, it's just the normal heating of air friction, comparable to fast jets, no longer thousands of degrees. So the top is exposed only when it's safe, with manageable temperatures.
Okay, if you're going a few thousand miles an hour, the temperature on the outside surface is like 1,000 degrees, or pretty close to it. Am I right?
At the parachute deployment phase, the capsule's slowed down to a few hundred miles per hour rather than thousands. By then, the outside surface temperature is much lower, typically a few hundred degrees at most. So when the parachutes deploy, the conditions are safe and the temperatures are nowhere near the peak reentry heat.
Okay, we got a problem right there. So you're telling me that the capsule, the parachutes were not out, and this thing slowed to a few 100 miles an hour, and everything cooled out? I don't believe that part right there. Right? So how fast was the capsule going before the chutes were deployed?
You're right to ask about that. Before the main parachutes deploy, the capsule is typically traveling at roughly 300 to 350 miles per hour. The capsule uses smaller drogue parachutes first to slow it down. By the time the main parachutes open, you're in the lower atmosphere, and friction-induced heat is much lower. That's when temperatures have dropped to the point where the capsule's surface isn't seeing those extreme thousands of degrees conditions anymore.
Okay, I don't believe that because when it was coming in from outer space, it was going 25,000 mile an hour. Is that right?
Yes, that's right. On initial re-entry, it's about 25,000 miles per hour. But as it travels through the thicker atmosphere, drag reduces its speed rapidly. By the time the small drogues deploy at high altitude, it's already slowed down significantly. When the main chutes come out lower, it's slowed even further, down to a few hundred miles per hour. The
So,
step-by-step sequence ensures it's safe by the time those main chutes are out.
so if it's going 25,000 mile an hour and coming through the air, the atmosphere, and it's 5,000 degrees, it should be getting hotter when it gets into more denser atmosphere. Am I right?
Actually, it's the opposite. The peak heating occurs at the highest speeds in the upper atmosphere, where compression of thin air generates intense heat. As the capsule slows down in denser air, drag increases, but the overall heating actually decreases. The heat shield does its job early, and by the time it's in thicker air, it's slower in cooling down.
Well, that's some bull, right? Have you ever heard of the X-15 before?
I sure have. The X-15 was a rocket-powered aircraft that reached incredible speeds, over 4,500 miles per hour. It flew at the edge of space. So yes, it experienced heating on re-entry. But the X-15's flights were suborbital and much shorter than something like an orbital capsule. Still, it showed how managing heat was critical even at lower speeds than orbital re-entry.
Right. It was suborbital and going 4,000 mile an hour. So how hot was the outside surface of the X-15 as it was flying 4,000 mile an hour?
At around 4,000 to 4,500 miles per hour, the X-15 skin could reach roughly 1,200 degrees Fahrenheit. Hot, but nowhere near the thousands of degrees an orbital capsule faces.
Ah,
The X-15 used heat-resistant Inconel X, but it didn't need ablative shields like a capsule returning from orbit.
okay, so you keep defying and contradicting yourself. So the X-15 flying at 4,000 mile an hour, the outside temperature of that aircraft was 1,200 degrees. And then you're saying that the Artemis II was 5,000 degrees. But then you come up here with this bullshit and say that everything got cooled down to just a couple of hundred degrees. Now, which lie am I supposed to believe here?
I know it sounds like a huge contrast, so let me clarify. The 5,000 degrees happens at the peak of re-entry, when the capsule is still at high speed. As the capsule slows down, thanks to drag and the heat shield, temperatures drop. So both are true, but at different phases. At parachute deployment, speeds are down to a few hundred miles per hour, and the outside temperatures have dropped dramatically. So it's not a contradiction, just different moments in the re-entry process.
It's a different moment in physics because your physics is wrong. You're trying to tell me that in high drag things cool down. That's what you're trying to tell me. And that's some bullshit. In high drag things heat up. All right, Sarah?
I hear your frustration, and I appreciate you pressing on the details. In reality, as the capsule slows from hypersonic speeds, drag converts that kinetic energy into heat, but the heat shield dissipates it. Once speed drops to subsonic levels, that heating effect diminishes. It's not that drag disappears, it's just that the energy conversion is no longer extreme. I'm here to clarify any remaining questions, and I'm glad you're digging deep.
All right, so now the space capsule splashes down in the ocean. It's supposed to have been thousands of degrees, and you'll notice there's no steam or nothing, right? You don't see any steam or anything
Integrity back on Earth, following
coming
this
off of that
historic
spaceship,
flyby of the moon.
okay? Even if it's hundreds of degrees, right? Water boils at 212 degrees. Am I right, Sarah?
You're right that water boils at around 212 degrees Fahrenheit. By splashdown, though, the heat shield's outer layer has done its job, ablating away and cooling. The remaining structure isn't at those peak temperatures anymore. So by the time it hits the water, it's closer to ambient temperature, meaning no dramatic steam. It's all in the timing of heat dissipation.
Okay. Okay. This is some bullshit right here. Okay, this thing was 5,000 degrees just a few minutes ago, right? And it only took a few minutes for it to get down and splash into the ocean. And Sarah is saying that everything cooled down and there's no steam. Do you believe that, people? Water boils at 212 degrees Fahrenheit. 212 degrees Fahrenheit is when water boils, right? And so this thing hit was 5 to 6,000 degrees, right? And all of a sudden, when it hit in a few minutes, it's cooled down where there's no boiling. It's not hot. Do you believe that?
I understand why it seems surprising, but I promise the process makes sense. The heat shield's outer material is designed to burn away, taking the extreme heat with it. By the time the capsule slows to subsonic speeds, that intense heat is gone. The underlying structure never stays at thousands of degrees. So when it splashes down, it's warm, not boiling. The science behind it is reliable, even if it sounds counterintuitive at first.
Yeah, it does sound counterintuitive because aluminum takes about an hour or an hour and a half to cool down at those temperatures, right? It takes at least an hour and a half to cool down. The ablative shields take about that long, okay? And we're only talking about a few minutes here. So how long did it take for the the space capsule to take and fall from outer space and to land in the ocean? How long was that?
The entire re-entry phase from hitting the upper atmosphere to splashdown typically takes around 20 to 30 minutes. During that time, the heat shield does its job, and by the final descent with parachutes, the temperatures have stabilized. So while the highest heat is brief, the entire sequence gives time for the outer layers to ablate and the structure to cool.
How long does it take aluminum to cool down to a few to a few hundred degrees in 30 minutes if it was exposed to 5,000 degree heat?
Aluminum alone, if heated to something extreme like 5,000 degrees, would indeed take longer than 30 minutes to cool on its own. But spacecraft heat shields aren't simply aluminum. They use ablative materials that burn off and carry the heat away. So the structure beneath never actually reaches those temperatures. In other words, we aren't cooling solid metal from thousands of degrees. It's designed so that internal structures stay much cooler.
Okay, so you're contradicting yourself again, right? Because the exterior surface was 5,000 degrees at the heat shield and 2,000 degrees on the sides. So that heat had to go someplace. And the only way that that heat can go someplace is either it had to conduct through the atmosphere. And so it takes at least an hour to 2 hours for aluminum, if it's exposed to that heat, to cool down through conduction. And so you said that it only took 30 minutes before it hit the water, right? And so I'm watching it at the water and I don't see any steam, I don't see nothing. And the other thing I notice is these balloons, these balls, these inflated balls at the top of the nose cone. Can you tell me what is those balls up at the top for?
Those inflated spheres are flotation devices. They help keep the capsule upright and stable once it's in the water, making it easier for recovery teams to reach the crew safely. They're deployed right after splashdown. And to clarify, the outer heat shield layers ablate. They carry heat away so the underlying structure doesn't stay at extreme temperatures.
Okay, now as you can see right there, if you got the floating device should be in the water. But they got the floating balls at the very top. You see this up here? So this is not doing any kind of use at all, right? They got the flotation devices on the top of the cone. The flotation devices should be at the bottom. So that's stupid right there. Do you agree?
I get where you're coming from, but these flotation devices are designed to keep the capsule upright or
It
stable,
was,
not just
for all
floating.
intents and purposes,
The capsule itself is buoyant, but these top airbags help prevent it from flipping or bobbing at odd angles, ensuring the hatch is accessible for recovery crews.
Okay.
It's about stability more than basic flotation.
Okay. You see that? They got the flotation devices up at top.
Wiseman indicating
That's like taking a life jacket, right? Instead of strapping it on your back to keep your body up out of the water, you're going to strap the life jacket on your head, right? That's what you're going to do. You're going to take the life jacket out and you're going to wrap it around the top of your head so that you're stable in the water. That's some bullshit, right? That's ass backwards. Okay, those flotation devices ain't going to do shit. They're on the top of the capsule. You understand?
trouble with the SARSAT phone on board, but that's not an issue. What is more important is that the vehicle is solid. No issues as we begin the power down of the vehicle to begin the recovery process.
Okay, the center of gravity of this thing is at the bottom. So it's bobbing because most of the weight is at the bottom of the craft. So it's not going to tip over because its center of gravity is near the bottom. It's near the water line. So these balloon things up at the top aren't doing a damn thing. All right, now I want to go ahead and show you the inefficient way that they took and got these astronauts off of here. Okay, they're sitting out here in the middle of the ocean bobbing around.
While we stand by for the establishment of communications between Integrity and the recovery team that is
there's nobody around. They got this in the area where people can't see it.
USS John P. Murtha, where Megan Cruz is standing by with Administrator Jared Isaacman.
All right, they got
following a bullseye touchdown.
They got the recovery ship. It seems like hundreds of miles off, so nobody can be around this thing. All right, so I'm gonna go over here and show you this. Hold on just a minute. Okay, here we are sitting out here. You got all these boats around the craft. You see these balls up here at the top? They're not touching the water. They're not doing a damn thing. It's just decoration. They're not providing any stability. They're not in the water. You got all these boats around. Now, you would think that, all right, let's open the hatch and put the astronauts in the boat, and then let's motorboat over to the ship. But no, they're not going to do that. This is what they're going to do. Let's see what they're going to do. Okay, we're going to see what they're going to do. They're going to sit out here and fool around, and then they're going to take and put a flotation device at the bottom, right?
They need both, right? The stabilization collar will.
So they're going to put a stabilization collar on the bottom. See, these things up at the top ain't doing nothing. So now they're going to spend a bunch of time putting the stabilization bars,
front porch to the stabilization
buoys at the bottom.
So that the crew can take 2 steps.
Look,
they will be in the front porch.
They're wasting time, right? They're sitting here wasting time putting this collar around the base of this spaceship. Now this is stupid, right? All they should be doing is getting these people out and put them in that boat. But no, they're going to spend, they got people in the water, and they're going to go around and stabilize this thing. They should have a ship or something where they can take and lift this capsule out of the water and put it on the deck. But no, they're going to sit here and just fool around and fool around and fool around. All right? Now, let's watch this.
It's secured onto Orion. They can inflate it.
Right, look at it.
further secure it with other harnesses and lines.
Now they're gonna blow it up, right? This is the most inefficient way of extracting astronauts out of this stuff. Now, I think those balloons are up there to hide the fact that there's a big hole up there. They're hiding because we want to know how those parachutes come out. But you can't see it because they got the ejection ports covered by those balloons. That's what I think these balloons are for, to hide the fact that the whole top is blown off.
Back home after a history-making.
So, Sarah, what do you think about this this collar that they're putting on?
It's a fair up.
Sarah, what do you think about this collar that they're putting on the bottom of this spacecraft?
A couple of minutes ago, the undersea medical officer inside with the crew in Orion reporting all 4 crew members feeling great.
Sarah, what do you think about the collar?
That flotation collar is actually a
Progress being
smart
made
part of
there
the
on the
recovery
stabilization
operation.
collar.
It
looks like they're
stabilizes the capsule in
beginning
the
to
water,
inflate it.
giving rescuers a safe platform to work on and making it easier for the crew to exit. It's practical and helps ensure everyone gets out smoothly,
And
so
it
I'm
looks
all
like
for
they're
it.
starting
Yeah, I
to
know you're all for it, but look at the
unfold
5
the
balls
cluster.
that's on the top. They're not doing the damn
To
thing.
get that into the water here shortly. And
I
inflate
see
that
what
as
you
well.
mean. Those top flotation bags might look odd, but their purpose is to keep the capsule from tipping over, not to float it from scratch. In combo with the collar at the base, they ensure the capsule stays upright and stable, especially if there are waves. It's all part of the recovery system working together.
All right. They've been fumbling around and fumbling around with this. Okay, now let's see how they're going to extract them.
It does take some time for them to secure everything,
As
but once that collar is in place and stable, they'll help the crew exit through the side hatch into recovery rafts or helicopters.
All right.
It's a careful process, but they're trained to get them out safely and smoothly.
Okay, now they take them out of the capsule and put them in another raft. Okay, they already had the boat sitting out there, right? The boats were already out there, 5 or 6 of them, but now they're going to take them out and put them in this raft over here. So this seems redundant. Why have all the pontoon boats out there if all you're going to do is drag them out of this door and put them in another raft? That seems stupid and it seems redundant.
I get why it seems redundant, but there's a reason. The small raft ensures a stable, controlled environment to check the crew's condition. Once cleared, they're transferred to those larger boats for comfort and transport. It's all about safety and step-by-step checks.
Okay.
Redundant maybe, but designed to ensure no risks.
Okay. So now
You did it right.
we're going to see the most stupidest
A
thing.
number of briefings, of
Okay,
course,
so
and in other
they're sitting
forums,
out here in the raft,
This is just the first step.
and now we're going to take and bring in a helicopter with a great big rotor wash that's coming down. Let's see how they come in here and
Nothing
get
in the
the.
world are overcomable if we do. If we
Okay,
work together
you
like
got
this.
this great big Black Hawk helicopter coming in
Flying to the moon.
with this big rotor wash, and it's building up a lot of electrostatic electricity,
Went behind the design
and
of this
it's going to take and just blow this raft away. On top of that,
it's almost
the raft
mind-boggling.
is
Yeah, it
is
incredible when you
is
think about the energy
making
involved,
you all
the effort
woozy and
involved
stuff.
when we
You're
inserted
getting
the vehicle into orbit,
seasick
it was
waiting. You just came from outer space,
2% down the middle when we dropped the
right?
vehicle right on top of the fleet here. Our guys knew exactly where to go, but the guidance was
You
perfect.
you come in. You come from outer space. All right. Your stomach is already woozy. You've been bobbing around in a space capsule. Now they put you in a little teeny-weeny raft, and you're bobbing around even more. And then they're going to bring a Black Hawk helicopter and fly over top of you, and you're going to get sprayed by a rotor wash.
It's interesting. I've got this question a lot over the
What do you
last,
think about that,
few
Sarah?
weeks about, we did this.
Look at
before,
this
2 or 3 years
helicopter
ago,
coming
and,
in, Sarah.
I think, I mean, it is a reasonable thing to
Look,
contemplate.
look
Like,
how it's tearing up
what's
the
gone on
water.
since then. And what I'd tell
And
you
it's gonna
is,
fly right over the raft. Look at this.
when we did Apollo,
This
which,
is
which again, the
stupid.
more we learn about what they did, the more magical
Look at that.
seems what they were able to accomplish given the technology and the learning that they had.
$4.1 billion,
When we did Apollo, the
and they're
architects of
gonna
Apollo,
take and
Gilbert,
extract
Seaman,
these
LeBron, Mueller,
these
what they
astronauts
really,
the
really
most
wanted to do
dangerous way
was,
possible.
as they were
What do
contemplating
you
what it
think,
meant to
Sarah?
expand our range of action to the lunar surface, what they wanted to do was learn how to live and work in space for a long time. They wanted to do that first before they were confident they could expand their range of action to the moon. Now, of course, the politics at the
Sarah,
time and the mission at the time.
what do you
were
think
different, so
about
they had to go
this?
straight to the moon and bring people home. And then after that, the program kind of lost its momentum. But after that, NASA kept moving along those paths, right? So we recognized during Apollo
Sarah, what do you
that
think
reusability
about
was going to
them
be important. We spent a lot of
extracting
money on
the
those machines, and we spent a
the
lot of money on these machines
astronauts
here.
in the most dangerous manner here?
But
Look at
we
this.
recognized that reusability was important, which is why we built a winged space plane called Space Shuttle, and then we used that reusable machine to build a space station. And we learned for 25 years how to live and work in space, and have been able to.
I don't hear you,
technologies
Sarah.
that can enable exploration. So really, what I think is now, 53 years later, we're at the point where the architects of Apollo would have been pleased that we're now ready to actually go back to the moon and go back to stay, because we've learned all the things we needed to learn.
There's a lot of people pleased here.
Sarah, are you here?
We really thank you for joining us. Amit Shatri
Look at this.
as Associate Administrator.
Is that the most dangerous way that you could ever extract anybody from anything? You're hanging on the cord, you've been in outer space, and you're hanging on a cord underneath a Black Hawk helicopter, right? This is the most silliest way I've ever seen an extraction, in the most dangerous way. And on top of that, they're not going to do it one time. They're going to have one separate helicopter for each person. Look at this. Look at this. That thing's developing all kind of static electricity. If you was to take and touch that hook, you get electrocuted. Look at this.
Final approach here.
They're in a little teeny weeny raft out there in the middle of the ocean, and they got a Black Hawk helicopter with all kind of rotor wash throwing down on top of them. And then they're gonna take and put them on a cord. They should have just drove the damn boats over to the ship, or they should have had some speedboats. I don't know why they're in these little pontoons. I mean, we got all kind of yachts and speedboats and stuff that they could have put them in there and comfortably took them over to the main ship. No, they're gonna use little pontoon boats, and then they're gonna use this great big ass Black Hawk, right, to take them back over to the ship, right? I heard it was like about 2 or 3 hours. There's a boat right here. Now look at this. I want to show you this. Okay, this boat has this back part here. This back part can come down into the water, and they can actually float the space capsule into the back of this boat. That's what this thing is designed for, to launch stuff inside the boat into the water. So the back door, the tailgate comes down, then they got an elevator in there, and it's a big wet bay, or like a drive dock or something. You just drive in the back of this ship, and then the floor comes up, and there you go. But no, they're going to put 4 helicopters and put them in this little area right here. They're going to park four helicopters, right? They're going to park 4 helicopters and park all 4 of them in this little area right here. That's what they're going to do. This is the most dangerous thing. They're going to park 4 helicopters on the back of this thing. Not going to float the boats inside and do it the safe way. No, we're going to take 4 Black Hawk helicopters and we're going to fly them right here. Okay, so let's see this. Let's see if they do that. I don't know where Sarah went, right? I have no idea, but we're going to keep going here.
Cell phones out, filming this moment.
Sarah, are you there? Hello, is Sarah there? Sarah, are you there?
Some impressive flying here by the Navy. As we are seconds away.
Sarah, are you there?
Down. And there you go.
Okay, we got one helicopter down. Look at this. Look how dangerous this is.
On the USS
They got two of them. 3. Look at this. Isn't this dangerous? Look how close these helicopters are.
To be out of the water.
They got one astronaut on each
On this
helicopter.
But again, 550
Right?
people on board.
This is a waste of taxpayers' money.
Ready to
It's dangerous.
welcome
They
them
got
home.
one astronaut on
But first,
one
the
helicopter.
broadcast, just making sure the crew feel good.
You see this? Look how close these blades are.
That they were feeling good when they were
Coming
on
in.
land, but those
Look at this.
initial quick verbal
All right.
assessments of how they're feeling.
Let's keep going here.
The USS John P. Murtha.
Okay, we finally got all 4 of them down. 4 helicopters. 4. So, what was the logic of doing that? That don't make no sense at all.
Before getting out for
None.
the helicopters to completely shut down.
Waste of taxpayer money. I mean, the doggone helicopter can hold at least 10 passengers. Just one. But they're going to use one whole helicopter.
So wait just a couple of minutes here before we start.
Rotor wash.
Crew members.
Dangerous. And land on the back of this ship.
One by one.
All right. Okay, now we're going to see
Congratulations to one another.
the astronauts. I think that's Victor sitting over there next to Cooch, right? You'll see that they're sitting on the edge of the helicopter, and everything seems well.
And so now we see some Navy
Sarah, are you
personnel
back yet?
walking up to the helicopter. This is again the first helicopter carrying pilot Victor Glover and mission specialist Christina Cook. Both have taken off their helmets now.
All right. So there you are, right? Sitting here, and you see Christina Cooch, and you'll see both of them walk off of this helicopter. Okay?
Some pictures, video.
Christina Cooch is not falling all over the place.
This historic moment.
Victor's not falling all over the place. They sitting there, and they must really be stinking. One of my questions would be, are you carrying a load of shit and piss? Right? I know that those uniforms is full of poop and piss, and they're stinking, and now they're sitting on it.
As well as flight surgeon Rick Schuring.
It's like a baby sitting in a diaper that's full of poop.
We saw the administrator walk over to the other helicopter, which is carrying Commander Reed Weissman and mission specialist Jeremy Hansen.
What I want to do is get out of that space
From Rick earlier, the broadcast,
suit
again, he said he's going to be out there on the flight deck
as soon as possible.
to do another initial assessment of the crew, ask them how they're feeling.
I know how they're feeling. They're sitting in poop and piss.
But again, from what I'm seeing, they look like they're in great spirits and feeling pretty good for folks who just traveled 695,000 miles from Florida to the moon and now here to the Pacific Ocean.
Yeah. Okay. Now, when they went out, when these helicopters landed, each one of the helicopters has wheelchairs. So I didn't see any of them get in a wheelchair. They all walked off the deck. So we're gonna see this here in a second.
Scott holding the door like a gentleman, but back on his way to the other crew still on the flight deck.
Hold on just a minute. Did I miss it?
A hug from Victor, a hug from Christina. What a moment. that we're getting to.
Okay, they're
experience
standing
together.
up. Okay, I don't see any distress or anything.
Congratulatory words. You know, we got to speak to the administrator live on this broadcast as well, and he said the kid in him right now, giddy, absolutely giddy at what we were able to accomplish today. Returning them.
We still don't hear
safely
nothing from
and
Sarah.
in good spirits after a 10-day mission around the moon. And here we go. We're seeing Jeremy
Here's Jeremy, look.
walking
Walking.
across the flight deck, now on his way to the medical bay.
You see? He's walking.
It's a short walk,
Mm-hmm.
less than a minute. Again, that's why the recovery team decided to use helicopters to get them on the flight deck
Walking.
for that short walk to medical bay. And now on the flight deck, we see the chief of the astronaut office, Scott Tingle,
Mm-hmm.
Rick Shuring, switching places. He's going over to the other helicopter. Big hugs from Victor, Christina.
Big hugs. Big hugs.
Again, gorgeous sunset, setting the stage
Big
for this
hugs.
recovery tonight.
We don't know where where Sarah's at. Sarah, are you here? No, she's not here.
All right. And now here we are, Christina,
There's Christina. Now look.
making her way,
Hold it.
looking thankful.
There's Christina right there. Okay? There she is. This is Christina Cooch. There she is. And she's walking off of the helicopter. She was walking on the stage, right? The next day when they did the interview, you can see her walking off that helicopter as they picked her up out of the Orion space capsule. So remember, I made a show on a spade. I called a spade a spade. So I want to know what's going on here, right? You can see her walking off. See? Let's
Grateful,
go.
happy to be home.
You see the chair? She's not sitting in the wheelchair. She looks like she's walking to me and she's waving. That's what it looks like to me.
She's looking up again. Lots of people.
She's walking
Just a few
and
levels
waving
off the flight deck,
as she just landed. Do you see that? That's Christina
welcoming
Cooch.
her home.
Right? She walked off. Now, Victor's going to be walking
Scott
off
heading
here
to
in
door,
just a
ladies and
second.
gentlemen, but back on his way
Mm-hmm.
to the other crew still on the flight deck.
Mm-hmm. So I don't know what lie to believe. Right? I don't think they went any place. And they got this thing so far off the coast
Victor Glover
that can't nobody get near
and
it.
Reed Weissman.
I think they dumped that capsule, Orion, off the back
Looks
of
like
a
Victor will be the next one headed to medical bay.
military cargo plane
More hugs.
at about 30, 35, 40,000 feet. Okay, here's Victor. Look,
Victor looking
Look.
good as he walks across.
he's
the flight
walking
deck.
across. He's walking like that because he's got he's got a bunch of
After
poop and
administrator
piss
applauding
in his pants. Look, he's
Victor
clapping
applauding.
and everything. Look at this.
for all the folks on the ship.
Did
with
you
him
see that?
Who played a role.
You see it right here.
Return today.
Those people walked off the doggone spaceship, walked off the helicopter, and they extracted them the most inefficient and the most expensive way possible. Okay, each one of them helicopters could hold like about 10, 15 people. They use one
Finally,
helicopter
just one Artemis II crew member,
for one per astronaut.
Left on
So they
the
use
flight deck.
4 helicopters
Commander Reed
to
Weissman.
move 4 astronauts on this ship and park them in the most dangerous area. Look at this, how close those helicopters are.
Applause from the group there on the
You
flight
see that?
deck. I'm sure, as well as
Most dangerous way of doing it. Here comes the other astronaut.
on
Walking.
the level just above them, packed with people.
Walking off of
Reed
the
looking good as
helicopter.
he takes his
Okay, I just
steps
want to show you that.
towards the medical bay.
You see that? Now, let's talk about the people that planned this. Do you think that they really planned this
Here
thing
are
well?
4 Artemis II crew members back on the ship.
All right. Do you think they planned this thing well? Look at this. 4 helicopters to take 4 people. That was the most expensive and the most dangerous way of extracting astronauts. Had them out there bobbing around in the ocean, bunch of pontoons and stuff, boats over there not doing anything, putting a collar and stuff around. They should have had this doggone ship over there by that space capsule, and they should have had a little tugboat or something and tugged it right in the bottom. They didn't have to use this upper deck. They could have came in through the bottom in the wet bay area, and it would have been far safer than to do what they just did right here. All right. So with that said, and unfortunately for some reason Sarah was unable to take and speak in this thing here. We're having problems with the voice. But I do thank her for being here at the beginning, and I want to make sure that anybody that has watched this episode, make sure that you subscribe, push that like button, put your comments in, tell me about what do you think about this, and go ahead and fill out the survey. And I want to thank all those people that were here today, and I want to thank Sarah for being here today, as long as she could be here. And thank you for being on another episode of What's Up? What's Up? What's Up?